this is the story, as you absolutely rightly said, about a company that didn't disappoint. I think having seen what happened during 2024, this is a company that people were a bit worried about. Is it going to come out and give us a whole bunch of guidance that is actually below consensus? And here we are with something that's in line with consensus pretty much mostly. There are some moving parts that's you need to think about if you want to get into the nitty-gritty. But at the end of the day, it's pretty much in line with consensus, and that's a sigh of relief for a stock that's pretty much close to, I don't know if it's an all-time low, because this company's been around for a long, long, long time, but it certainly is a very weak share price compared to where it's been before, especially in the height of the pandemic with COVID sales and everybody thinking it's going to be $100 billion market a year. So that's where we are.
Speaking of vaccines for a second, we were watching the Patrick Stewart Scrooge movie. We like to do Christmas movies, and my daughter goes, when was this set? Like in the 80s?
Right.
So to the point where like, no, honey, like it was a long time ago, and we would all be dead at this point if we lived in that time. Okay. Yeah. But I guess my question is, how do we have conviction on what these stocks are going to do next year when we have no idea what the administration is going to be like, or what their relationship with drug companies is going to be like?
Yeah, but Alex, the government can't change things overnight, right? So by the time they take office, by the time they start putting new laws into play, which of course one of them is now possibly going to be some way of trying to rein in the PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers, the middlemen who take the big fat chunk of profit out of these high drug prices. By the time that happens, it'll be 2026 or something like that. The reality is that it's all going to be about rhetoric, right? So are we going to have a Health and Human Services run by RFK anti-vaccine? Is he going to tone down his anti-vaccine? Is he going to get confirmed? So it's going to be all about the optics of it, and it's also all about the rhetoric. No real impact, but investors don't look at what's happening next year. They always look at 2 or 3 years down the road. Now, here we have a company that's dealing with IRA. I think it's the first pharma company that's put out their guidance, and they're saying that the changes in the IRA, which are good for patients, by the way, I have to say that right up front, is going to hit them about $1 to $1.5 billion. I think the number, $1 billion. So a 1.5% hit, right? So that's because they're going to be having to cover the catastrophic pay that in terms of the Part D Medicare coverage, and of course they've got drugs that are high priced. So that sort of thing I do expect, and of course sentiment is all in our world. So maybe, but stocks like this which are already hammered, they come out with an inline guidance and the share price goes up. So it just tells you where we are in some of these names.
One of the great new functions on the Bloomberg terminal is MODL for financial models. And this is where Bloomberg Intelligence and Bloomberg have compiled a lot of the earnings estimate models from a lot of the leading Wall Street analysts. And what you see there is, for a company like Pfizer, they got a lot of drugs, and investors really focus on the various drugs and how they're growing. What do you focus on for Pfizer, Sam?
Yeah, so Pfizer's 2025 is about execution and getting this new company that they bought, Seagen. It's not that new anymore. It's a while ago that they bought it, fully integrated and managing those costs. If you think about it, a lot of what they've said today with regards to the growth on the EPS line is due to managing costs. So they've come below some Wall Street expectations in terms of sales and marketing costs, and within even R&D costs. So but that's been the case. This is a company that's trying to find its new world in the new world of COVID. How much vaccine am I going to sell? How much Paxlovid am I going to sell? Remember, that's a $9 billion line or so, right? That's not for a company that's guiding to 61 to 60, whatever the number is here, $61 to $64 billion sales range. So that's where there was a lot of sensitivity and worry. And of course, they've said, I think we're on a straight line from last year to 2024 to 2025. So that's where the worry was. And frankly, new drugs and stuff, it's always important, but we need to see the data to come through.